Welcome, guys, to Nodiness where math becomes easy and clear. So, I want to look at these questions. I want to divide both of them using long division method. And basically, we'll be doing four different steps. The first thing we'll do is we'll divide, and after dividing, we'll multiply. And once we've multiplied, we bring down a value and we subtract. We'll just be repeating the process over and over again until the end. So let's dive straight to it. So for the first one, we have 735 divided by 5. So what this is, and we call 735 the dividend. So we can call it the dividend and it stays inside. And then 5, which is the divisor, will be outside. So now the first thing we want to do is we want to divide 7 by 5, and 7 by 5 would go one time. And then the next thing we do, we multiply. So if we multiply this, we'll have 5. And then let's subtract this. So if we subtract this, 7 minus 5 would give us 2. And then we'll bring down 3. So next, let's divide 23 by 5. 23 divided by 5 should go 4 times, because if you have 4 times 5 to give us 20. So it's all about, and we know that a number that is the for a number to be divided by 5, it must end with 0 or 5. And then the closest number to 23 here is 20 that 5 can divide by. So that's why we'll now have this to be 4. Of course, to understand this, you need to know your times table properly, so you would make mistake. So, and then I'll multiply 4 times 5, and that should give me 20. And then the next thing I'll do is subtract. I'll subtract this, and I'll have 23 minus 20, and that should give me 3. And finally, I'll come to the last one, which is I'll bring down 5. And then I'll divide 35 by 5. So if I do that, I would have this to be 174. I'm sorry, 147. So, and if you look at this now, if you multiply this, you would have 35. So, and 35 minus 35 should give us 0. So, this should give us 0. So, it means we'll stop here. So, that's for the first question 1. So, let's look at the second question. So, we'll do the same thing. Our dividend will be inside and our divisor outside. So, we'd have 624 and our 4 stays outside. So, the next thing we want to do is we want to divide 6 by 4. The goal is to know how many times 4 that 6 will, how many 4s you have in 6, and the answer to that is 1. So how many 4s you have in 6, that's what we are basically doing. So, and then we'll now multiply 1 times 4, which will give us 4, and then we subtract. So 6 minus 4 would give us 2. We bring down the next value, so this becomes 22. And then we would have 22 divided by 4. Just like I said, the next question we should ask ourselves is how many 4s do we have in 22? And if you look at your times table, you'll see that 4 times 4 is 16, 4 times 5 is 20. So which means there are 5 4s in 22. That is, if you have, of course, we want to know how many times it can go first without remainder. And then after we've gotten that, we can now subtract. So that's why this now becomes 5. We'll have 5 here, and 5 times 4 would give us 20. And then we'll go ahead subtract. So if we subtract this, we'll now have this to be, this will give us 2, because 22 minus 20 is 2. We'll bring down the last digit, which is 4. And then we'll have 24 divided by 4. 24 divided by 4 should give us 6. We'll have 6 here. And now you will see that our answer for this one is 156. So a quick recap of what we've done. One thing I want us to note is that we would follow this step. We would divide. And after divide from here, what we did next was we multiplied 5 times what we got. That's how we got 5 here. And after multiplying it, we subtract. And then once we've subtracted the value, we then bring down the next value. We'll continue it till the end, till the last value. And that's why you can see that we got our answer here. And then another thing to pay note of is how we divide. So in this case, what we are trying to look at is how many times the divisor can, how many of the divisor can be in that particular number that we are looking at that point. So just like this one, we have the question now will now be how many 5 can we see in 23? And if we answer that, we write the answer to the question up here, and we multiply it once again by the divisor, which is 5 in this case. And we'll also get our value. We subtract and we bring down the next value. That's what we keep on repeating until we are done with it. So we'll also look at more kinds of questions on this. So I will see you in the next video. So don't forget to like, share, and comment. So I would also drop some questions for you to practice in the comment section. See you.